And welcome back for another episode. So let's have a quick look at what's going on in our nation. Not much has, well, some things have with the episodes, although no time has actually been progressed. So, first of all, we are now back on positive money, not necessarily for very long, but maybe 3-4 months, something like that. And we don't have any news in the diplomatic front. We have set up the admin commands and the colonial administrations, which should help a fair bit along the way. We have also set up a colony in Guantanamo Bay. Of course, it is going to need a little bit of infrastructure there, so we are currently building them in Havana, and then we'll ferry them over. We are also gathering up a lot of fleet from surrounding areas into Havana too, since there is fairly good maintenance facilities there, and protecting the new colony is going to be a priority. We are also shuffling around some of the fleets in Chile to Argentina to be maintained there, and some ships from Buenos Aires are being ferried over to Chile instead to shuffle around them, because Chile doesn't actually have any maintenance facilities right now, which is a bit of a problem. But it takes about 100 days to sail around the Cape Horn. We are also setting up another fishing fleet in Bay of Biscay, which is going to give us a bit extra rations around there. And we have set up a colony fleet going from El Ferrol to Havana, which is going to be ferrying 100,000 colonists per trip. Of course, travel time is a bit shy of 2 years. It's a bit of a long trip back and forth, but it will hopefully boost a tiny bit anyway. But I think that's about it for the start of this episode, so I will bring you back in just a few moments. We have now designed the new fire controls for our ships. So we are now then working on getting the optics a little bit better, so we should be able to spot the enemy sails once we update the gear in our ships. And with that, we have also now designed the new third rate, which compared to the other one, does actually have a cargo shuttle base. It has the same armor, but it does have more weaponry. So it does actually have an extra 12 8-pounder cannons, so in actual weapons it means 2 extra weapons. Still has maintenance life pretty high. It has about the same range, less than 1 billion difference. We are hoping to get better sails for this as well, which should increase the speed and the range a little bit, because I think we're going to go with a little bit more fuel efficient sails, which should of course then increase the range a little bit, as well as increase the speed to some degree. It's probably not going to be a huge boost, but it should be good enough. And since we do have the better fire controls on this one, actually the chaser fire control has a longer range than what the chaser cannons actually have. And then of course the broadside cannons do technically have longer range now than what the cannons themselves have, or the chaser cannons have, but they would be doing so little damage that would be using the chaser cannons rather than the broadside cannons. But yeah, we've done a little bit of upgrades on this ship, but it has most of the things rather similar. I mean, it does have a tiny bit, well, actually more than 30 extra crew in there. And it is a bit more expensive, but the armor takes a lot less room or tonnage from the ship itself, so it should be much better, and the extra firepower will certainly be a nice boon in combat. A reinforcement fleet from Veracruz in Gulf of Mexico has now arrived in Havana, and the total fleet in Havana is now a total of 6 ships of the line, as well as a number of frigates and smaller ships. We have now completed research on better gunpowder storage. Of course, we do need to actually design the improved gunpowder storages. But we have now started researching better sails, which should give our ships a nice speed boost once we actually design the masts. Now, we did shuffle around some of the researches just so that we can then focus a bit more of the labs to the sail research, as soon as the actual researcher can handle more research labs. We have completed 2 new third-rate ships of the line in Cadiz, and we'll start building a third one, just in case. Another one of our fleet has arrived in Havana. It will undergo some overhaul, after which it will join the main fleet there. We have built another second raid in Barcelona, which will be sent towards Cadiz to join the major fleets there. France has implemented a blockade of the cities on the western shores of Italy. We have completed another first raid in Cadiz. We'll start building more ships there immediately. A combined French and Spanish fleet has rendezvoused at Guantanamo Bay and is now heading towards Port Royal. We are making our final approach towards Port Royal with the combined fleet. So far, no sign of the enemy, other than the city itself. We're still making our final approach on the port, but we cannot see any ships so far. However, we can see that there are shipyards there, which is probably something that we might destroy. Although, having those shipyards would be very nice indeed. In any case, I'm sure that there are coastal defenses that we do need to disable one way or another. We can finally see some enemy ships in the harbour, but it would appear that there's only 2 7th rates, so they must have slipped away. Of course, they would have noticed us well before we noticed them. But nonetheless, we shall sail towards the harbour and destroy any coastal fortifications there. The enemy is firing upon us. Meanwhile, they are still well beyond our reach. We'll have to sail in a fair bit closer to utilize our numbers against their defenses, so we'll probably sail up to 35,000. One of the ships on our side has taken a few hits, but nothing too serious yet. However, our coastal barrage seems to have a very good effect on the enemy fortifications. One of the French loops has taken a fair bit of damage, and now they've lost their fire controls. They sank one of our ships, but the vast majority of the enemy fortification is now in ruins. The British guns have fallen silent. So now the French will destroy the 2 survey ships there, and the Spanish will focus on destroying the shipyard as well as starting bombarding the ground units there. After the ships have been destroyed, the French will return back to Tortuga for repairs. The Spanish will stay behind and bombard the enemy units as well as start preparing for an invasion. We have destroyed the enemy shipyards in Port Royal, but it would appear that our bombardment is doing relatively little damage on actual troops there. So we'll pull back to Havana and start gathering up our invasion forces, and then we'll return. However, since there is no coastal fortifications or shipyards in Port Royal for the time being, it should not pose a problem for us. We have completed research to faster ground unit training, and we've now started researching bigger cannons. After helping our France, our ally, in Caribbean, as a retaliation against British trying to break the blockade in Rome, now both the Portuguese and the Dutch have joined the British side. We're yet to start an invasion of Port Royal, but we trust that the coastal fortifications being destroyed and no shipyards there, it should be fairly easy in the future, as soon as we have troops available to it. And there we have it. That's the end of the year now. So let's have a quick look. So in terms of shipbuilding, we're building currently 4 ships in Cadiz, then building 3 ships in Barcelona, and 1 ship in El Ferrol. Unfortunately, we can't really build any ships. Actually, we are building 1 in Bruges as well, but it is a bit of a precarious location to build ships, because the Dutch are very close, as well as the British, so we have evacuated the majority of the fleet from there to El Ferrol instead. In terms of ongoing research, we are trying to get the bigger gun calibers, as well as maintenance support per facility up, and then mining production and better sensors and better sails. Getting the better sails is probably going to be our priority, but unfortunately the researcher can only have 5 research labs right now, so not necessarily the best, but it will certainly provide a little bit. In terms of building stuff, we are building another naval shipyard complex in Cadiz, as well as some regular stuff in most places. In Havana we're building some infrastructure which we will be ferrying to the Guantanamo Bay, which, as we've discussed before, I believe, it does include a fair bit of minerals that would be very useful. Unfortunately, it's not completely colonizable, or not easily colonizable, so we do need to get a fair bit of infrastructure there so that we can then start getting people in there. But that will be nice boon for Havana, especially since Havana doesn't produce tar, gunpowder, or bronze. We don't get any bronze in Guantanamo, but we would be getting certainly a lot of tar, as well as a lot of other things, which would certainly complement us productions quite nicely, including gunpowder is actually something that... Yeah, so only thing that would be missing in Havana then is bronze. So we do hope to set up that soon. In terms of fleet movement, we have been gathering up our ships, majority of our ships in Havana. We also have a lot of ships in Cadiz and Bay of Biscay. Not a huge amount of ships in West Mediterranean at this point. We've been focusing on the Atlantic side. And it's probably for the best, considering that all three of the nations that we are at war with have access to Atlantic. In terms of service, we've done a decent progress in around Atlantic. In Caribbean, we've almost completed. Argentina, we've done a fair bit. Chile, we've done a little bit. Mexico, we haven't actually been surveying all that much. Bay of Biscay is completed, and Western Mediterranean is almost completed, and we've already gone into Eastern Mediterranean. We've actually spotted some neutral cities there as well. I believe Venice and Trieste. Then we have had some problems in the Far East with our ships. Some of them are stranded. I believe we have sent a rescue vessel to get that one, but it is going to take a while. The distances are very long, and the ships are not very fast, especially until we get the better sailing technology. We have opened a civilian mining colony in Chile, which is going to be providing us a little bit extra taxes. We do need the money, that's for sure. And if we have a look at the total income, we did lose about 12,000 in cash this year. And considering that we lost our trade deal with both the Portuguese and the Dutch, so we won't be getting a huge amount of cash from our trade deals, which is going to be a problem. In terms of mining, we're getting most resources rather nicely. The only thing that we are not getting all that much is food, but even then we are getting a decent bit of food. In terms of shipping lines, we still have the two that we had at the start of the year, and they have still the same ships that they had at the start of the year. But especially this one will probably get another ship soon. They have a decent bit of wealth already, and they have been doing a lot of trading and ferrying colonists to various places, which is certainly going to be beneficial for us, spreading out and all that. But anyway, I do believe that's the end of this episode, so make sure to check out Ben's channel, link is down below in the description, and we'll be seeing you in the next episode. Until then, bye bye.